Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this channel, we talk or learn about sign language and deafness. So if you want to learn sign language, this is the place. If you want to know anything about deafness, this is the place. Please subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you can be notified all the time I post a new video. So today in this video we are going to talk about misconceptions of deafness. This is the second part of the misconceptions of deafness. If you have not read the first one, the first misconception that we are going to tackle today is deaf people can't listen to music. This is a notion that music can only be heard and therefore can only be appreciated by people who are hearing. The deaf people can also listen to music. It is always surprising for people to learn that deaf people can also enjoy music. They can also sing. They can also play instruments, and they are very successful and have careers like composing music and performing music or performing dances. It is so surprising. So, how do the deaf listen to music? The experience of sound is different for many because of the level of deafness. So, music is very multisensory, meaning it can be sensed in different ways. And studies show that with deafness, people are able to feel music within the vibrations in the same part of the brain that hearing people use when they listen to melodies and lyrics. It is just a different experience. So, we, the hearing, can listen to music and hear the sound and hear the words and hear the vibrations, but the deaf cannot hear the sound or the lyrics of a song, but they can feel vibrations. So when you see a deaf person dancing, don't be surprised. They're just feeling the vibrations and they are able to enjoy music the same way we do. Another misconception is that people who are deaf don't talk. In my whole life, I had never seen a deaf person who can talk. But when I went to school and did my degree and went to a practicum, that's when I encountered the deaf people who talk. Yeah, they talk very well. This will also depend greatly on the background of the individual and the type of deafness they have. Some will have lessons with a speech therapist to improve their speech. So we can find the deaf people who can talk and those who cannot talk. So there are people who became deaf when they had already acquired talking. So when a person is born hearing and then later on in life, maybe an accident happens or the person becomes sick and this affects their hearing, it will not mean that they will not be able to talk. They were talking few years or from the time they were born and the time they acquired talking to the time they became deaf, they were able to talk. So no one will erase that part in their brains or in their being. So they will talk. They are able to talk, but they won't hear. So there are people who can talk very well and they are deaf, and there are those ones who cannot. Another misconception is that all hearing loss is the same. There are various levels or types of hearing loss. Some of the most commonly used terms to describe deafness include the following. So there is a term that is hard of hearing. This describes those who have lost some but not all of their hearing. Yeah. And there are people who are deaf. This is another term, deaf with capital D. So this refers to the people who communicate using primarily sign language and consider themselves part or members of the deaf community. And the other term is deaf with a small d. So this refers to people or anyone with hearing loss, whether born deaf or acquired growing. But they mix well in the hearing world and communicate orally, but may also use some sign language. So they communicate orally, they talk, but also may use sign language. They use a small d. Then another term is hearing impaired. This word describes any person who has hearing loss. Yes. Then acquired hearing loss. This describes those who were born with hearing but lost some or all of their abilities. Then the other term is acquired profound hearing deafness. No. Acquired profound hearing loss. This describes those who are born with hearing but lost a significant amount of their hearing. So when you say a significant amount of their hearing, means most of their hearing. Another misconception is that all deaf people sign. All the deaf people sign. The ability and desire to sign varies from individual to individual. It depends on whether the individual was encouraged to sign while growing or not. Then some of them communicate fluently in sign language. Others use a combination of both spoken language and sign language, and some prefer speech only. So there are deaf people who prefer to use sign language. There are people who prefer to use spoken language and sign language, and there are others who prefer using spoken language only, and they are all deaf. So not all people who are deaf know how to sign, and also it depends with the level of education. There are people who don't know how to sign because they have not gone to school and be taught. So that is the difference. Another misconception is that deaf people can't go to cinemas and they can't watch TV. This is absolutely no reason for them. There is a misconception that deaf people cannot go to cinemas or watch TV. Really? There is no reason for them not to enjoy watching movies in cinemas or them watching TV. Yeah. So unfortunately, there is lack of subtitles or subtitled screening, which makes it hard for the deaf to enjoy these daily activities. Even now, in our digital era, there are still some movies or some TV programs and some cinema movies which don't have subtitles. So this makes it hard for the deaf to understand or enjoy watching movies in cinemas and in TV programs. But they still can watch TV. They are able to lip read. They are able to understand the body movement. They are able to comprehend what is going on according to how the people in the program are acting. But it would be so much better if there were subtitles. For those ones who are able to read, they would really enjoy the movie by reading the subtitles, by being able to follow the body movement, the body language, and the facial expressions, and the lip movement. They would really enjoy the movies the same way we do. Another misconception is that deaf people are not as intelligent as hearing people. Deaf people are not dumb. They are just deaf. The only difference between a person who is hearing and a person who is deaf is hearing. A person who is hearing is able to hear. A person who is deaf is not able to hear. It doesn't mean that they are not intelligent. The same way, a hearing person, when you have the ability to hear, it doesn't make you intelligent. So, when someone says that deaf people are not as intelligent as hearing people, that is not true. Yes. So the same way you go to school and learn, they will also go to school and learn. They will get to learn more and more as they go to school or as they grow up. There is nothing like them not being intelligent because they are deaf. That is not true. Another misconception is deaf people cannot have children. Deaf people can have children as their body also functions normally the same way a hearing person's body functions. There is no reason why they would not be able to have children, or a reason as to why they will not be allowed to. It is the hearing that has a problem, not their body, not their productive system. It is not true. Hearing people can have children. Yes, just like any other person in this whole world. Another misconception is that deaf people only have lowly jobs. Yeah, to some extent it is true, and to some extent it is not. Some do, but some don't. And it's also the same among hearing people, where some have professional jobs, while others have low-end jobs. Not everyone is the same. Deaf people can work, and they can just work the same way we do. So there are deaf people who have lowly jobs, yes, and there are also hearing people who have lowly jobs. There are others who have high-end jobs and are deaf, and also hearing people who have high-end jobs. So when you say that all deaf people have lowly paid or low-end jobs, that is not true. The same way you can say that all people who are hearing have good jobs. That is not true. As I said earlier, the only thing that makes a difference between a hearing person and a deaf person is that the deaf person is not able to hear. Any other thing that people try to say is not true. They are able to comprehend anything the same way we do, as long as the channel of communication is efficient. This has been the second part of misconceptions of deafness. If you have not watched the first part, here it is. Watch this one, and don't forget to like this video, comment, and also share to your friends and family so that they can be able to know the misconceptions that are out here about the deaf. See you in my next video. Bye.